All right. Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be breaking down, making predictions on UFC Fight Night Allen versus Costa. Um, Honestly, like this card's pretty mid. I love the main event. I think the main event is going to be a banger fight. So I'm perfectly fine with this being the main event, but obviously just the card itself is pretty mid, and a few fights fell through and got replaced. And we'll talk about that also, but like overall, the card's not great. There's a few decent names on this card, but nothing crazy. So if you're here looking for like an insane breakdown of each fighter or whatever the case is, you're on the wrong video. I just can only really talk about fighters that I know decent well about. I mean, I don't claim to have the best knowledge out there, but I'm just gonna make my predictions based on what I've seen and what I've looked at and what I've kind of, So we'll start down here. There's a lot of women fights on this card as well in the prelims, so. That's all right. Let's just start here with Shauna Bannon versus Nicole Cagliari. So Shauna Bannon, I think, is like just pretty horrible. I know she has like two wins in the UFC, but she just looked really bad her last performance against Sam Hughes. She just doesn't look good at all. Like when she's fighting, Nicole hasn't even won a fight in the UFC, but I'm gonna end up picking Nicole here. She's just done it against okay competition, younger, and I just really don't like Shauna Bannon. I don't think she's all that good. This could go obviously either way. I mean, it's women's strawweight. It's going to be a decision most likely, but I could really see Nicole getting actually getting a finish here. She's pretty good with submissions. Hasn't got a submission win in the UFC yet, but I mean, on the regional scene, she was getting a lot of submissions and stuff before the UFC, and I think she could finally get a win in the UFC against Shauna Bannon. So that's what I'm gonna go for there. Like I said, not a whole lot to break down. I'm just gonna be kind of cutthroat with a lot of these picks. This one, Daniel Barres, he's decent. Just coming off of a loss to Andre Lima. He's not nothing crazy. He's old. He's an unk. 1-2 in the UFC. Betting wise, this is about a pick 'em. Um, but if you look at his two losses in the UFC, Andre Lima and then Jafel Fillo, who just lost to Cody Durden not too long ago. Obviously, like when he lost to him, that he was still pretty up and coming. Obviously, losing to Cody Durden's pretty tough, but like that's not a bad loss. And then, but Louis Gurul is pretty dog shit. Like he's 0-3 in the UFC. There is some decent comp there, like Ode Osborne in your debut. That's a good, like that's solid. And then, Jesus Aguilar, I actually like quite a bit. And then Alden Correa, though, I'm pretty sure Alden Correa made a short notice debut against Luis, or maybe it wasn't short notice, but it was still his debut. And he's lost. I mean, obviously every fight he's had in the UFC. I'm gonna go with Barres here by decision. I don't think Luis Gurel is all that good. He's kind of really just gotten beat up in all of his fights. Um, and I don't really see him getting a win here. I'm surprised he's even still in the UFC, honestly, as we move on to Alice Erdeline and then versus Poliana Vienna. So, just another woman's strawweight fight here. You know, Allardine, 34 years old. She's got 5-inch reach disadvantage. She's actually a pretty decent favorite on the betting odds if anyone cares about that. Coming off of two straight wins, starts her UFC career losing two straight, bounces back with two wins over no one noticeable. This is unranked strawweights we're talking about here. Um, but then Vienna is on a three-fight losing streak, obviously all in the UFC, but it's a decent comp, and that's why I'm going to be picking her by decision this fight. Both of them are pretty buns. Like Alice at least has that win streak, that momentum. Like Vienna is 1-4 in her last five, but she has some decent losses in there. Like Jillian Robertson is like the most notable one. She's kind of climbing up the ranks right now. And then even Tabitha Ritchie, she had lost Tabitha Ritchie, and she's Tabitha Ritchie, if I'm not wrong, is I'm pretty sure she's up there in the top 10 at least, maybe even top five. But yes, I'm gonna go with Vienna. I mean, if this one, like I said, could really go either way, but it is what it is. As we move to this absolute banger, Cody Brundage and Andre Petroski, this is just another one that could literally go either way. Um, Brundage had a split decision loss to Dante Johnson the last time out, and then he lost to Cam Rousden, lost to Eric McConaughey. This draw with Mansour Abdul Malik, like he's just a weird fucking fighter, honestly. He loses majority of his fights, but when he's fighting, it's against these kind of up and coming prospects. They all always fight Cody Brundage, and he's super active. He honestly is super active. This will be his third fight of the year. And then Petroski fought Cam Rousden in Cam Rousden's debut and lost. So that was his last fight. And then Edmund Shabazian, that's also like a good up and coming guy. I want to say he's fighting Brendan Allen next, and Brendan Allen's like in the top five. So I ended up going Petroski decision. It's tough. Petroski doesn't really like to get hit, but like Cody Brundage just isn't all that good. I could see, but like I said, this one could go either way. These are just two like middle of the pack middleweights. I mean, Cody Brundage is on that low. I mean, both of them are on that lower tier still, but Petroski just offers a little bit more, I think. Um, and that's why I'm gonna go with him. But like I said, I mean, this could really go either way. He's a decent favorite as well in the betting odds, but who gives a fuck about that? But I'm gonna still say it every time. As we move on to Ketlin Vieira versus Jacqueline Cavalcanti. And this is a decent matchup here. I want to say this is actually for a decent ranking spot as well. It doesn't say here on the app I'm using, but yeah, I mean, Vieira's last loss is to Norma Dumont. Obviously, that's not a bad loss. And then she even has a win over Macy Chase on recently, lost to Kayla Harrison in 2024. But Cavalcanti is on a good streak, 5-0 in the UFC, undefeated since coming in, obviously. And she's 6 years younger, and usually in women's MMA, like age really does play a role. Because I mean, let's be real, it's mostly going to decision every time. Last five fights for both of these women have been decisions, and no one insane for Jacqueline recently. Myra Bueno Silva is her best win, but Myra Bueno Silva is on like a generational losing streak, so it's tough there. I ended up going with with an underdog pick here in Vieira because I think a lot of people are riding Jacqueline for this fight, and I ended up going Vieira decision just because I'm hoping experience will win here. We seen a few weeks ago when Norma Dumont lost to Jocelyn Edwards that maybe it's not always about experience in these women's fights, but also let's be real, it's going to be a 29-28, and it could go either way in that third round or whatever round ends up deciding it. I ended up going Vieira here though. She's just more experienced against higher level competition. Um, and yeah, so that's why I ended up picking her. As we move on to this next fight, we have Tommy Gant versus Artur Minev. So Tommy Gant was supposed to fight, I want to say Trey Ogden, yep. And I was actually super upset when that fight got canceled because I was really looking forward to seeing Tommy Gant's debut. He's an older prospect at 33, but he ended up obviously being on Contender Series this most recent season and just looked great in his fight there. I want to say he's trains with DC or has connections with DC. It's something like that. He has a strong wrestling base for sure, but he's crazy with the ground and pound, can get submissions as well. And it's not bad on the feet. And he's going up against Artur Minev. Minev. I've never heard of him. On this app here, it says he's from Ukraine, which is cool. He did have a fight this year, but I mean, this is just no one that I've ever even heard of. And I was already gonna pick Tommy Gant in his original fight. So I'm gonna ride with Tommy Gant. I mean, I think he's just legit. I'm hoping that he can hopefully, you know, get some decent because with Tommy Gant being 33, he's really, gotta be moving up the ranks pretty fast if he wants to try to make any type of push. I'm not saying he's that level of prospect, but Just from what I've seen in Contender Series and a little bit before Contender Series, he is pretty legit, I think. So hopefully we can see. I'm excited to see Tommy Gant, and I was glad that somebody they found somebody to fight him because I didn't want them to push his debut back any even farther because he didn't really take a whole lot of damage on the Contender Series fight, and that was, I mean, close to a year ago, probably like 8 months ago. So. I'm glad that Tommy Gant's finally going to be making his debut and hopefully getting a win. I have it first round ground and pound finish, but we'll see how that goes as we move on to Toko Tacos versus Ivan Erslan. So, I mean, it's tough. This one's another tough one. Tacos is coming off of a win over Junior Tafa. I mean, that's really all I have to say. He's not very good. It's tough. That's his only win in the UFC as well. He was on a two-fight losing streak before that. But to Navajo Sterling and Omar Sy, those are good comp. And then if you want to go ahead and look at Urslan's last five, I mean, lost to Jimmy Crute his most recent time out in the first round sub. Then a loss to Navajo Sterling, lost to Ian Catalaba in his debut. He's 0-3 in the UFC. Um, And I just think Tucko has a good reach advantage, slight height advantage. That doesn't matter that much, but coming off of a win as well. So I have this going third round sub. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about a guy who's 0-3 in the UFC and a guy that's 1-3. Like it is what it is. I'm just gonna ride with the guy who's gotten a win in the UFC before, and I mean, Ivan probably shouldn't even be fighting the UFC. Let's be real. 0-3 start. It's probably time to hang it up. But we'll see. I mean, But yeah, I'm gonna go for Tucko here. As we move on to the main card here, we have Nicolay, however you say his last name, versus Chaos Williams. This is a pretty decent fight. Chaos Williams obviously is like pretty decently known name in the welterweight division. He's got a decent reach advantage as well, about 3-inch reach advantage. He is coming off of two straight losses, but like Gabriel Bonfim, that's a pretty good loss. Andres Gustafsson's not horrible, and in his last five, he's got a few wins in there as well. So it's weird with Chaos Williams. You don't know what you're really gonna get from him. And then Nicolay, I mean, he beat Nico Price. Nico Price genuinely was probably one of the worst fighters in UFC. Um, Francisco Prado. I mean, he has a loss to Austin Vanderford. It's like this is just tough. A loss to Danny Barlow. I mean, this is just tough. I ended up going Chaos Williams, so I just like him more, and I think he can pull it out. I went first round finish as well. I think he's gonna find that chin in the first round, get him on out of there. As we move on to this bantamweight matchup, this is probably my biggest underdog pick of the fights. I have Timothy coming in and getting a decision win over Bernardo. Timothy, he's decent. Chang Ho Lee is last time out by decision. He beat Roberto Romero before that, and then lost his first two fights in the UFC. But Balaji Oki in his debut, not a bad loss. Lucas Almeida, not horrible, right? And these are just two super young bantamweights, right? But I like Timothy for that height and that reach advantage as well. But Bernardo, he's on a pretty okay. He lost his debut to Vinicius Oliveira, which that's not a bad loss at all. I want to say Vinicius he should still be ranked, but I'm pretty sure he is still ranked in that 10 to 15 range. And then Ricky Tercios is pretty horrible, so like yeah, he should be beating him. But yeah, I mean, I went Timothy decision, why not? And like I said, I mean, these fights are so hard to pick. Only like the top one, the main event, really is one that's like worth a damn. Like the Malcolm Wellmaker fight as well. We'll get to that, but these are just kind of like low tier. Like maybe one day one of these guys will be ranked. Not in this fight, but I'm just saying like on the card in general. But yeah, I'm gonna end up going Timothy Kwumba as we move up to the Bukauskas fight. So he's going to be fighting Christian Edwards. He originally was supposed to be fighting Rodolfo Bellato, but and obviously it ended up being short notice because it's a catch weight. I don't know what weight it's going to be at, but it just says catch weight. But yeah, I mean, Bukowskis is decent. You know, coming off of a loss to Krylov, like that's not a bad loss. And he almost lasted the full fight with him as well. Ended up getting finished in like the last 3 seconds. And it was, yeah, like I said, it was not a bad performance from him. Um, Beat Paul Craig before that, and Paul Craig's retirement fight. Just absolutely horrible performance for Paul Craig. But you know, he was on a decent streak before he lost to Krylov. And let's be real, bro. Christian Edwards. I mean, I haven't seen any tape of him or anything like that, but like this guy has a loss to Luke Fernandez, like the guy who just came into the UFC and was pretty dog shit in his debut. So I'm going Badowski's first round knockout. I think he's going to get him out of there quick. Christian Edwards, thanks for stepping in and giving Bukowskis a fight, but let's be real. I don't think there's any way Bukowskis loses this. As we move on, sorry about that, to Malcolm Wellmaker versus Juan Diaz. I think this is a great fight, honestly, because Diaz coming in off the Contender Series, right? Yep, and he had a really good performance on the Contender Series, and he's getting thrown in there with Malcolm Wellmaker, kind of like that prospect that there was, in the UFC before. Obviously, he fought Ethan Ewing short notice and lost, and I think Malcolm Wellmaker is gonna come back. You know, I think he's gonna make a good comeback. He's took some time off since that fight. And this is a tough fight for him, honestly. But these are the type of fights that, a guy like Malcolm Wellmaker should be having, especially coming off of his first loss. Um, I think this is honestly, this could steal the show of the night for sure. I think the main event's gonna be amazing. I think that's gonna be fight of the night for sure. But this is gonna be a banger. I mean, these are two younger, right? I mean, obviously Diaz is a decent amount younger, but they're gonna go out there and try to put on a show. I think either way, one of them's getting finished. But I mean, I'm gonna ride with Wellmaker. I think he just is a lot better, right? And I think Wellmaker's more tested. He has some okay wins in the UFC. And if Diaz comes out and gets a win, I mean, maybe we don't look at Ethan Ewing as highly, but no, I think Ethan Ewing's great. I think he's a great prospect. But and you guys know that if you had seen my prospect video. But yeah. But I think Wellmaker's going to come out there and get the win. As we move on to the co-main event, as we're just flying through this. Like I said, I don't have a ton of breakdown on a lot of these fights. Choi Duho, um, it's just it's tough for me to pick him here. I mean, Daniel Santos is pretty solid. You know, 4-1 in the UFC, lost his debut, but then it's on a 4-fight win streak since then. It's really tough. For me to pick Choi here. He's on a 2-fight win streak, but he hasn't fought since 2024. And even then, Nate Landwehr was his last fight. Let's be fucking serious, bro. Nate Landwehr's absolute garbage. So it's definitely tough, and um, but I think I'm gonna go Santos here. I got him third round KO. I think Santos is gonna get him out of there. Too much of a layoff for Choi. I think Santos is gonna find the chin. He got a finish in it. He's in his last 4 fights. He's got 2 finishes, 2 decision victories. I think he's going to find Choi's chin and he's going to drop him. And probably the third round is my prediction. It's tough. I like Choi. I like you guys know I have a bias to the Asian fighters, but it's the bias isn't strong enough this fight. I've got Daniel Santos. These like featherweight up and coming featherweight, lightweight Brazilians are just all killers. Daniel Santos is trying to really fit into that mold as well. So we'll see if that happens, and I think he'll end up coming out and getting the win. As we move on to the main event, like this was literally like a video. Whenever I first started my YouTube channel, right before UFC 327, I kind of only wanted to keep it YouTube videos because that's kind of this is the kind of content I like making the most. I didn't really want to make shorts and TikToks, but this was the second ever short and TikTok that I ever made was talking about this main event like a month before it was going to happen. because this is just a banger of a main event. I mean, absolute banger of a main event, or I mean, banger of a fight. I get that probably it's not the greatest main event in the world, but you got to think too, the MVP card, that Netflix card, is also Saturday night as well. So you're probably not gonna, the UFC is like, all right, they can have that night. And what I guarantee you is going to happen is they're going to announce UFC 329 during this card. And it's gonna hopefully, if all the rumors are true, it's gonna be a Connor fight, and that's all anyone's gonna be talking about. People are going to be talking about that over the Ronda Rousey comeback and the Francis Ngannou comeback and Nate Diaz and Mike Perry. And also, I do want to say while I'm talking about that card, I am going to be making a video tomorrow talking about that card. So it'll be kind of a breakdown and predictions of that card as well. Because this is an MMA channel, it's not just UFC. I've always thought about making kind of more content on different companies, but it's always hard because it's the UFC just compared to every other company has such a bigger following that if I spent my time making a PFL or a Ryzen breakdown or prediction, like, and even then, like, I would have to, majority of the fighters I'm watching for the first time on those cards, it's not even really worth all the time and effort. But I mean, if you guys want to see those, let me know. But I will be making a breakdown on the MVP Netflix card tomorrow. So look out for that video. Make sure you guys subscribe and turn on the notifications so you get a notification when that comes out. But yeah, so I mean, back to the UFC, back to this banger of a main event. Arnold Allen coming off the loss to Gene Silva. I think he got a win before that over Gigi, but yeah, Giga, yeah, that name. But before that, he was losing. He lost to Mazar Evloev. He lost to Max Holloway. 5-round decision to Max Holloway as well. So we know he can stay in there. And then he beat Calvin Kattar before that. I mean, Arnold Allen had a pretty decent performance against Gene Silva as well. It's just Gene Silva's just kind of on another level. But Mel Costa is just one of my favorite fighters in the UFC. And I love Arnold Allen too. Like, I think this can't go wrong in my opinion. I mean, if it's a draw, I'd be happy. If it's a win for Allen, I'd be happy. If it's a win for Costa, I'll be happy. I'm gonna be sad that one of these guys is gonna be losing. This honestly kind of feels like Max and Charles, like a lower tier version of Max and Charles, to me at least. Um, Costa's obviously on a huge win streak, has five wins in a row, at least in his last five. Um, and he's just super solid, and I really hope he can climb up the rankings. It's tough to see one of these guys lose, like I said. But Arnold Allen, to me, he could definitely get this win, and I do think he is the favorite. He's a decent sized favorite. No, I mean not crazy, but I don't see this going all five though. This will be tough to see this go all five. Costa really finishes a decent amount of his fights, and even the ones he doesn't, they're 3-rounders. It's interesting to see how he's in a 5-rounder because Arnold Allen has been in a 5-rounder before with better comp, right? So, but I'm gonna ride with Costa, man. He's just on such a good streak, and hopefully that momentum can carry into this night, and he can go out there and get the win. I haven't finished him in the third round. I just see it. I could see it now. He's gonna hit him with something nasty, I hope, and get him out of there. But yeah, so that'll be my breakdown and my prediction video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you guys agree, disagree, make sure you guys subscribe. You guys like the video as well. Um, and then also, if you have TikTok, feel free to go follow me on TikTok. It's the same name as my YouTube, CamMMA, and go show some love over there as well. But yeah, so that'll be my breakdown and predictions. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for that Netflix MVP card.